It's a Saturday.
They call him Calm Down
Welcome,
Charlie
everybody.
from Tokyo to Chinatown. Fans of flames of dismay, then he smiles smooth as a crown. Calls into Dana show with a voice that's so sly, denies the starfish tales while the truth passes him by. Unit 3's just a whisper, Charlie murmurs with ease. No harm to the oceans, just a conspiracy tease. He's got that Tokyo swagger and Chicago's own charm, but the fallout's more stubborn than his questionable alarm.
So we're gonna do a
Charlie,
show
calm
on
down,
Die
Charlie,
Off
with
Night.
the pro-nuclear stance. Can't you see the starfish cry, whispering in their dance? They're dancing around the fire, denying what we
fantastic,
see. Calm down, Charlie, but the truth, it won't just agree.
That's James Lucid. Song that he put together. I had a hell of a time stealing it. It's making my life a little bit hard. I had to type in each part of the ULR myself to get the song. Success is a win. Calm Down Charlie. I'm actually addicted to that one. There's 5 of them altogether. So, what a tough day, couple of days this has been. What I'm switched gears this year. Last year we went out and done on the ocean in the boat, right? And we done the same couple of bays all summer. It was 18 trips. We were looking for the birds. We were monitoring a couple of species, nesting the fledglings and the young. There was about a 4% survival rate. And so I wanted to expand the scope. I'll get to that coming up. And what I've been doing is basically traveling long distances into the little outports. I'm shooting down into these little tiny communities and scanning the harbor for migratory birds, right? And then shoot to the next one and shoot to the next one. And so I've covered a lot, and I can't find any birds. And I don't know how to approach this because the world seems to be very complacent. And so the official story is the whales are getting hit by boats, right? There have been about 1,200 reports of whales and boats colliding since a worldwide database launched in 2007. Okay. And so how do we explain 10,000 humpback whales, 40% drop in the Pacific gray whales, and they're trying to conflate it with boat strikes, but history was only around 1,200. So how do we get, 10,000 humpbacks, or 10,000 gray whales, 7,000 humpbacks. We have unusual mortality events for all the whales. And almost all the stories coming out this last month and a half or so, for the last number of years, they've been throwing the connotations of boat strikes in. Scientists are investigating. Yay! It's equivalent to a serial killer moving into your spare bedroom. One primary suspect is food scarcity. The whale population reached a high of 27,000 in 2016, but dropped to 16,000, which is 11,000 basically dead whales. But you'll see all the headlines where the media is doing their best to confuse the population, and we're making a mistake by not challenging them. This is a fatal flaw. We have to challenge them. If we don't challenge them, we're going to regret it. And for the last 4 or 5 hours, it's been like I've been like in a daze, literally in a daze. Once I came back today, I hit a whole lot of small outports. And the beauty of the motorcycle is I can get right down. Like I can go down these little tiny paths, and I can get right by the ocean. and I can't find them. I got to go to McDonald's or Tim Hortons or fast food joints to find the birds that are left, which are the seagulls. And at low tide, I'm doing this at low tide, by the way, and there's nothing there. There's no smell. Let me just go through some of the stuff. It's not going to be a long show tonight, but I needed to get it off my chest because it's eating at my soul. U.S. biologist I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow, except I'm going to go to the opposite side of the peninsula, which is quite a ways out of my normal routine. But if I don't do it, I'll regret that too. So that's where I'm headed tomorrow. And I'm going to accelerate a lot of things over the next month or so. Like last week, we covered all food, right? We're going to start covering all die-offs for quite a few weeks coming up. U.S. biologists probed the death of 70 emaciated gray whales. 70 emaciated gray whales. Emaciated. And these are huge whales, by the way. And what year was this story? 2019. Let me keep going here. Did a marine heat wave cause 7,000 humpback whales to starve to death? But when you read the media stories, because we cover this, right? They'll always suggest that the whale that was found dead, no matter where it's to, if it was found on the moon, they said, we think it was hit by a ship. If they find it way up a river, we believe a ship killed a whale, and they're finding a lot of whales. How scientists discovered 7,000 extra humpback whale deaths. This is extra. So they have an unusual mortality event. Let me get that up. This is not meant to be a long show tonight, but it'll be whatever it's going to be, because if I don't get it off my chest, I'm not going to sleep tonight. And so just being here for a few minutes makes me feel better already, because the world is making a serious mistake by not asking some simple questions. I can't comprehend the media's contempt, though. They're the ones that are causing us not to come up with solutions. They're the ones that are hiding the actual issues. They're the ones that are throwing a big turd in the punch bowl. And just bear with me. Now, I didn't have a hard time connecting to the internet tonight. What took me so long was trying to import the songs. They wouldn't go on the hard drives no matter what I'd done. And finally, because you know how I don't know how to give up? That's another flaw that I got. Is I'm very, very terrible at giving up. I finally got it onto a different hard drive that normally I would never use, right? All right. Do you believe we got her this time? Here we go. Just bear with me while I pop that in there too. Okay. Because the official story is the whales are dying of ship strikes. Let's visit that. So you can go read this story yourself, but there's many stories like it. But this one is 2023, by the way. There have been about 1,200 reports of whales and boats colliding since a worldwide database launched in 2007. Did a marine heat wave cause 7,000? It wasn't a heat wave, it was the radioactive fallout. Just hang on here, folks. Because I'm still so far behind. And I'm so disturbed by yesterday and today. I'm going to show you, because if I don't include this in the narrative, then it's hard for people. So this is Japan. So this is radioactive fallout. See how it's perpetually coming out. Now bear with me. Okay. So now it's kind of disappeared. Let's do this again. Let me put my big head in there somewhere. This is the 14th. This is the 15th of March. This is the 16th of March. This is the 17th of March. This is the 18th of March. And what you're noticing is this is not a plume. Right? So it's right here. This is not a plume. This is not like something exploded and then this plume came out and now is drifting and is spreading out, right? This is a continuous emissions. And this, I think, is missing from the narrative, even though I'm really good. So again, this is on the 13th. So the reactors haven't all blown up yet. And neither were they on the 14th. The reactors, so you can see the plume is still coming out. But eventually it gets buried in the plume where the plume circles back. But that plume never stopped coming out. Look at this. This is not like a single puff of smoke that spreads out like a nuclear weapon would do. This is a meltdown. This is multiple buildings that have melted down, and they successfully covered up. And the only reason they were able to cover up the meltdowns is because the International Atomic Energy Agencies and all the media, all the universities, and all the nuclear academics it's 100%. You can describe this as a conspiracy. Like, this is obviously a conspiracy. But it's on a different level of conspiracies that the average person is exposed to. The average person can't believe that the checks and balances don't work. See, James Lucy just said he sent a PayPal. Thank you, James. You're good to go, man. Thank you. That changes the game again, for sure. Let me bring up the poll here. Now, remember, this is not a long stream tonight, but what have I got done? Oh, here we go. My apologies. Oh, so I screwed up. Did the nuclear industries, Fukushima radioactive fallout, have a significant effect on the species, not just the whales, but the species worldwide? And in order for the whales to show up emaciated on a scale that the average person can't comprehend on their own, let me fix that a little bit. Tip, go. So last night I posted a video of Calm Down Charlie explaining that I was going to get it. Tokyo has decided they're going to take me out. And that's a pretty smart move when they got nobody else is going to fill in that spot. So it's clearly a threat. And they're using this Stinkfoot guy, Thunderfoot, Phil Mason, who's a food chemist, a nuclear food chemist. Not a nuclear scientist per se, right? But he's got this long history of, he's got 1 million subscribers, and these are the industry. And their job, when he points out somebody, their job is to attack this person for the rest of their lives. So it wasn't just a die-off of the humpback whales. It wasn't just a die-off of the gray whales and which was these numbers we don't have any way to compare this, right? So here you're seeing 4 mortality events together. But there's many more than this, mortality events. It's simply not just 4 species. Notice the pilot whales are not in this. And in 2014, 2015, the pilot whales were always reported as peanut heads, empty stomach, or emaciated and stuff like that. They were simply, and there were groups of them in different places, and they would get the same report where they had no food in their stomach whatsoever. You have a minke whale unusual mortality event at the same time as a humpback, and a gray whale and North Atlantic right whale. There was also the beaked whales in United Kingdom, and there was over 1,000 that they had found, which meant there was around 10,000, because there's 1 to 10 ratio. For every one you find, there's 9, 10 that sank. And so this is symmetrical throughout all the species. And so when you see it happen to the whales, which are unlike the residential species, where they all travel 7, 8, 9, 10,000 kilometers, like the migratory birds that I started off talking about, and they didn't show up. And so if they didn't show up here, which is they've been doing millions of generations, to come here and raise their fledglings, where did they go? Well, they can't change their route. They can't say, let's go somewhere else this year. It doesn't work that way. And all of these whales are confirmed to be emaciated. And because they're floating around dead, it's easy to get hit by a ship, right? 2017, 2019, North Atlantic right whale unusual mortality event. Now, we're seeing the same things with the insects. And on the motorcycle, I don't have to wear my face mask down to worry about insects. Not a single time. And it's really stunning. Tomorrow is going to be around 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and around 30 degrees or so humidity Celsius here. So it's going to be another great day to go out and do what I'm doing. Matriarch of the well-known orca family is starving to death. So you have all these different whale species, and every one of them, including the sperm whale, for instance. And there was 14 of them last year showed up between Australia and New Zealand, emaciated at the same time. These connotations we've never heard tell of pre-Fukushima. And all of these mortality events are post-Fukushima. And there has been some, though, during the nuclear nuclear testing era, where it's horrifying what they've done to the tropical, the most wonderful paradises, like the French Polynesian Islands, the Christmas Island, the Marshall Islands, the Montebello Islands in Australia. All of these tropical paradises were mangled by the nuclear industry and disintegrated and atomized and aerosol and ionized and radiated. It's over the top. It's over the top what they done. And so the French Polynesians were exposed to, it was around 1 Nagasaki bomb's worth of radioactive fallout for 12 years by the French nuclear testing. That's a nuclear war. The Marshall Islands was equal to a Nagasaki bomb every day for 12 years in radioactive fallout. And over 1 million square kilometers are still too radioactive for it to be habitable in the 2019 study. 2 years ago, they acknowledged that Montebello, Maralinga in Australia are too radioactive 70 years later because of the British. And of course, anybody who's paying any attention knows that Christmas Island, the babies, are not babies anymore. They're just these chunks of jellies that they have to bury right away. due to radioactive fallout. But now we're seeing something over the top post Fukushima. And I'm tortured. I'm literally, at this stage, I'm tortured. But I can't find anything. Can't find insects, can't find birds. All the reports of the whales, they're saying are died by ship strike. Go and look up whale strikes. And what you'll see is all of them are being attributed to ship strikes. They think it's ship strikes. And you'll see that in every single story multiple times in the story. And usually in the first sentence, you'll see that. But that's simply not true, what's going on. Some of them are being hit by ships because they can't get out of the way, or they're dead and they're just floating there and they get hit. And, I grew up on the ocean in the traditional community that has no automobiles. And we have a 4-year history with the ocean in that community. And, when I was around 13 years old, one of my jobs was to drive the boat back home at the end of the day. And when Dad and my brother was asleep in the bunks, I would slow the boat down because there'd be hundreds or thousands of whales. I'm afraid I'm going to hit a whale, and it might take me longer to get ashore. And so this is a child's way of thinking, but that's the way I thought. And then if Dad woke up, he would hear the RPMs. He would come up and look at me and just shake his head and speed up and say to me, don't worry about the whales. You're not going to hit the whales. He wouldn't be mad or something, but he would just laugh at me and just speed the boat back up. And if I heard him snoring, I'd slow the boat down again because I was afraid I was going to hit whales. I steamed with the whales all day long for many, many months a year, year after year after year. And, every year in what was it, November, around the first week of November, you would see these pilot whales would show up. And that's where we used to do fireworks every year on November the 5th. And which is a very sad story. I'm not going to tell you why we've done it right now because I don't want to go down that road. Well, basically, there was a guy in Britain who tried to kill the Parliament, but he was ratted out by somebody. And he celebrated that in the British colonies worldwide by having fireworks on the same day that he was caught, and then he was executed after, right? But that was to lull you into complacency so you wouldn't do it to him too, right? And if he had succeeded, Britain wouldn't be the shithole that it is today. So all these pilot whales, and we're talking thousands, would come in, different groups from different directions, right? Because that was a prime squid area. And they would hang out for days and days. We never ever seen a stranding. We never ever seen a dead whale wash up on the beach in all those years. But post-Fukushima, that's all you're seeing and every single day. In both the Pacific and Atlantic in particular, that our news cycle covers, we're seeing that connotation constantly. Another adult southern resident killer whale and a calf found in poor health. They were peanuts heads. They were emaciated. A significant loss of fat, blubber around the head. Not around the head, the whole body. Alaska seabird die-off continues for another summer. That was 2018. And so this was the common MERS. And at the same time was the Cassinioclis. The common MERS, seabirds were found emaciated and starved. And there was also storm petros, which are microscopic eaters. The fulmar, the shearwaters, the kittiwakes, the Cassinioclids, and the puffins. So the puffins are divers, the kittiwakes are divers. Well, the kittiwakes are like baby seagulls. They're not divers, rather. They're scavengers. The shearwaters are divers, fulmars are divers, and the common MERS can dive, dive 600 feet all day. They feed on squid and sardines and krill and anchovies and everything else. Like small species, right? But the storm petros and the Cassinioclids, they're microscopic eaters. And so what happened here was you had 1.4 million common MERS and 1 million Cassinioclids showing up emaciated and dead all along the coast of British Columbia and Alaska at the same time. But this happened years after year. And then the oclids and the storm petros are microscopic eaters. So two different spectrums of the food chain showing up emaciated at the same time. And these are all post-Fukushima. Okay, so Warranto, about 80 miles away from me, is the biggest colony each year of the migratory storm petrels. They're nocturnal, and I used to go out there in the dark each year, twice a year during the migratory, and look for them. You couldn't find them the last number of years. And we've hit this all different directions in the last 4 years on the East Coast, but we've done the West Coast too for 6 years. We haven't been really noticing any salmon up here, so the bears are showing up emaciated, the grizzly bears. Now, like the killer whales showing up emaciated, they're the apex ocean animal. And the grizzly bear is the apex land animal. And so the killer whale feeds on 375 species. It can eat whatever it wants. There's no reason for it to be emaciated unless it got leukemia from radioactive fallout and bioaccumulation. And that's the same thing with the bears. And so the bears, they were trying to blame the loss of salmon. 5 million sockeye salmon were expected to return, but only 600,000 came. And the grizzly bears are bearing the brunt of it. Well, 600,000 is more than enough to feed the grizzly bears along that river. It's not like, man, I'm not going to eat them. There's only 600,000 this year. They're going to eat whatever gets in the shallow water. They've been doing this. They're genetically predisposed to eat them. But they also eat berries. They eat around 200,000 berries a day, which bioaccumulate radiation. And so it's very simple, if you're going to be honest, to acknowledge that they have cancer, they have leukemias. Because they have so much radiation in their body, they can't uptake nutrition, even though we know it's there. And grizzly bears are brunting, but they also eat grubs, they also eat roots and grass, and they eat moose and caribou and elk and whatever they want. Deer, and there's plenty of deers out there. And I was doing research right where they're too. But if you look at the beach, they're on a beach. There's only kelp cabbage and kelp weed, when there should be 700 algae. Fukushima broke the food chain, right? Mysterious mass deaths of Alaskan birds baffle scientists. It wasn't tens of thousands. This is, let me go backwards. It's 2016. Tens of thousands of birds, a species known as common murres, appeared to starve to death. We know they're starving because their stomachs are empty and they're emaciated. So, and now this is important because the migratory bird, oceans are already contaminated with a deluge of Fukushima toxic water, radioactive fallout. We'll stop eating fish from the west coast. So the birds are showing up because they cover long distances. So let me put this together for you, because I don't want a long show tonight. I just wanted to do a show because my brain, yesterday and the day in particular, has really bothered me. So the birds will migrate all along this coastline all the way to Alaska. That's where they're headed, right? And then they're going to come back this way again. And there's 27,000 islands. When I done the research up there, what I discovered, now I got that charged up finally yesterday. I had a lot of problems with this. And I got some more gook and I sprayed in there. And I finally got that charged up and working. I ran the batteries last night down to 70%. So I'm confident that we're going to get to use that from here on out. The underwater drone. So when I done the research on the west coast, the migratory birds will eat the species to your left, but they're not there no more. And this is why they're showing up emaciated, because they don't have an alternative to the migratory species. So normally they would land in the tidal zones and there'd be all kinds of species, see? In fact, there'd be 7,000 plus highly visible species. And there'd be all these, like the diversity was next level. It was paradise. It was just wonderful. And I love that marine species. That's one of the reasons I was a commercial diver for all those years, is because I got to see this all day, every day. I got to breathe this, eat this, so live in this environment 100 days at a time. And so when I went back after Fukushima and done the research expeditions for 6 years, the reason I went back for 6 years is to see if the species came back. And these are my... And now if you go to my website, I'm starting to get the pictures linked up on the front page to the right-hand side. You can open it. It'll open a bunch of panes and windows. And I'll take you through that later on in the week when I get the rest of them switched over. So the species to your left, the birds could normally fly in there and get a bunch of food, right? But they can't because the radioactive fallout has contaminated the entire ecosystem. So the birds not only don't have the migratory species, they don't have the option or the ability to go to the tidal zones and feast. Okay, we're almost through this. Yeah, we're almost through this. Another little tiny bit. Another 5-10 minutes. 10 sperm whales died after stranding on the Yomiuri coast. 5 minutes. I want to end the show on a Saturday, because when I do the show tomorrow night, Alaska adds krill and mussels to the list of unusual marine deaths. And so the whole coastline of British Columbia, which was saturated with mussels, also was stripped. The whales won't stop killing themselves in New Zealand. And because they're emaciated when they get there, right? Maybe I'll just stop right here. I'm going to play that same song we started off with one more time on the outro. This cracks me up. It's so great. Calm Down Charlie is the name of the song. It's the jazz version. And I kept having a problem loading the songs. And so I'll figure that out by tomorrow night. I'll have that. And when I want to play one of them, we'll be able to do it. So tomorrow, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go to the other side of the peninsula, which is a long trip. And then I'm going to go into all those little communities for as long as my bum can handle it, because riding on a motorcycle is pretty hard on the bum sometimes. All you do is stop and take a break, and I'll be doing that. Just because I can't believe the world is willing to sacrifice everything for an industry, for a nuclear industry. I refuse to accept that the world will sacrifice every species on the planet rather than call a scumbag industry a scumbag industry. Okay. I'm going to play the song. I'm going to close the poll. I'm going to play the outro song without me talking over it. Did the nuclear industries, Fukushima radioactive fallout, have a significant effect on the species worldwide? And because I'm not allowed to stream on Saturdays, the industry guts my polls. And that's okay. Yeah, Moonscape. There you go. Thank you, James. I call it Jennifer... I don't know how to pronounce PTERVS7, Petrov 7. I seen Dana Nasana was there. And I know nobody was expecting my stream tonight. And that's okay. It's 44 minutes or something. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Let me do that again. I forgot to have the volume up.
Take called him Calm Down Charlie. From Tokyo to Chinatown, fans of flames of dismay. Then he smiles smooth as a crown, calls into Dana show with a voice that's so sly, denies the starfish tales while the truth passes him by. Unit 3's just a whisper, Charlie murmurs with ease. No harm to the oceans, just a conspiracy tease. He's got that Tokyo swagger and Chicago's own charm, but the fallout's more stubborn than his questionable alarm. Oh Charlie, calm down Charlie with your pro-nuclear stance. Can't you see the starfish cry, whispering in their dance? They're dancing around the fire, denying what we see. Calm down Charlie, but the truth, it won't just agree. Dana laughs through the static as Charlie spins his tales. Mocks won't harm a soul as the rhythm derails. But the blues in the water, they paint a different scene. Starfish falling softly in a nuclear dream. From Tokyo's high towers to Chicago's deep blues, Charlie's words spread wide, but the evidence proves he'll harass with his charm and a devilish grin. But the mollusk hushed whispers tell where he's been. Oh Charlie, calm down Charlie with your pro-nuclear stance. Can't you see the starfish cry, whispering in their dance? They're dancing around the fire, denying what we see. Calm down Charlie, but the truth, it won't just agree. Oh Charlie, calm down Charlie with your pro-nuclear stance. Can't you see the starfish cry, whispering in their dance? You're dancing around the fire, denying what we see. Calm down Charlie, but the truth, it won't just agree.